We're here. Sweet. All right. Yeah. What's up, everybody? Been a while. Josue's here for once. It's not just me by myself. Um, people are always wondering. People are already wondering what I sold. It's not. It's not the Fummins. Let's get right off the bat. We sold the Safiro like months ago, and I intended on doing a live stream then, but we got distracted. Not distracted, but I tend to do live streams right before an event, and like we're getting ready to go to an event, and generally we're never ready in time. You think you're ready, and then is that an ad?
It was.
Is it playing an ad on the live stream? How do I fix that? Oh man, there's got to be a way to. Well, I'm sorry if there's ads on the live stream. I didn't know that that was the thing that I had to say. But yeah, we sold the Safiro a while ago. So that's gone, which I'm sure nobody really cares, but it is gone. How do you spell Josue? You got it right.
Yeah, that's it.
M4 Mick5. It always pops an ad when you join. Huh, I didn't know that was a thing. Dang, I didn't know that was a thing. I thought it would do ads after the fact, but not during. Sorry about the ads. All right, yeah, so that was the first thing. Safiro sold. The Fummins is still here. We haven't sold it yet. As I said, we're not gonna sell it until we are sure that the mega cab is solid. And maybe, who knows, maybe we'll do some work to it in the meantime, and do some upgrades and then see what we think. Monte Carlo updates. It's funny you asked that because I just got it registered today. I had to go register the new truck, register the Monte Carlo. So I'm finally gonna be able to drive it around. I want my grandma to drive it around and experience it for the first time in over 20 years. And then, maybe drive it around for a month or so before we start building it. We do have some stuff to talk about that. Remind me, or you remind me. Someone remind me. We've got our build plan. So Josue's not taller than me, by the way. He's just on a stool that's taller than my stool.
Maybe we should switch to
I gave him the good stool.
Nice guy.
Irrigation figured out. Yes, we did finish that finally. We finished it, yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, yesterday.
It was a lot of work, man. We tried to tunnel under the driveway. We were gonna try this and did not work. So we ended up having to dig a trench all the way around the shop, which was terrible. Will you sign my C6 vet dash and Josue too? Sure, absolutely. You should do a giveaway with the Fummins. Yes, so that is the goal. That's what we would like to do. We'd like to do a giveaway with the Fummins. I think it would do well. I think people, that way someone who really cares about it, because there's a lot of people who really care about it, could get it. The thing is, you got to do all this legal stuff, and I think the only way it would work is if we did, we'd have merch in stock, but we did a pre-order kind of thing when we ran out. You order it, you get entered, but you might not get it for a month or so, because I have no idea how to gauge how much we're going to need. And I don't want to order 1,000 shirts and we not sell them, or vice versa, So I think if we could do it that way, if people would be okay with that, knowing you're going to order the merch, you're going to get entered, but you might have to wait a month or so for the shirts, because that's the problem. When you order these shirts, how long did the last one take us? It was pretty quick, I feel like.
It
was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks at least.
Steve Bush, love the content, keep it up. Thanks, Steve. Someone said yes, do that. So if you guys are all in for that, leave a comment below. If you're in for doing the giveaway, but just you're gonna have to wait for merch. If you're not one of the first 200, 300, 400 people, whatever, however many shirts we and stuff we order. We do want to add some stuff to the line up too, like jet tags, stickers, little stuff that people could order. Totally in for that. All right. You will have huge legal issues if you have to pay something to win something. Nope, there's ways to do it. That's how all these YouTubers do it. There's a thing you have to do. Oh, that's the same one. Now that I have Josue here, he has the live stream pulled up so he can read the comments and see if there's anything interesting.
I see the struggle. It's hard to keep up with it.
You see, especially when it's sideways, you get 3 at a time.
Yeah, for sure.
Pre-orders. People are fine with the pre-order. How's the RAM? The RAM is good. I just registered it. It was a weird situation because I've never bought a vehicle that had a loan on it. So I've always bought vehicles, the person had the title in their name. So having to kind of arrange that where buying it bill of sale and then getting the title. It was definitely not ideal, but it's a lot of, most of those newer vehicles are going to have a loan on them. So anyway, we got the title, got it registered, A1. What was I going to say on that topic? Sold the truck. Yeah, there was a lot of, that's one of the things I want to talk about. There's a lot of, what would you say? What's the word I'm looking for? People arguing, not drama.
Debate.
Debate, I'll say debate. There's a lot of debate on selling the Fummins, or, getting the Dodge as opposed to the Fummins. And I think something I neglected to mention in the video, compared to the Ford and stuff. So the Ford, I financed part of it. It's just a very expensive truck. And, people have told me for years, I've always been against financing stuff. And they're like, oh, you get a good loan rate and blah, blah, blah. You can invest the money, or the money, it makes better returns than the interest you're paying. And I did get a really good interest rate because I fortunately built good credit. And so it wasn't like I was paying a lot of interest over the course of the loan. So I decided to finance part of it. It was the first vehicle I've ever financed. I did put a good chunk down, so that way I wouldn't be upside down. When I bought that truck, it was like they were gold nugget bars. Like, you could not get those trucks. The reason I bought a used one is because you literally couldn't buy a new one. Weren't going to be able to order a new one for 6 months, and then it was going to be another year and a half. So I just decided to buy a used one. It was expensive, blah, 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 blah. Point is, I financed part of it, and I never liked that. I mean, I made it my whole life up until this point without ever financing anything. And, when that meant driving around a $1,000 Infiniti G20, that's what I did, I dealt with it. And when that meant building the Fummins, when I wanted to get the Fummins, I could spend 15 to 20 grand on a truck. And in the used truck diesel market, it doesn't really get you much. Any of those options have their pitfalls, even back then. So I decided to build the Fummins. That was my option, as opposed to financing a truck. So the point is, I finally financed the truck. The biggest push. How long did we talk about buying the new truck?
It was many months.
Probably like a year. We talked about man, should we just get a new truck? Someone said something about Infiniti G20. That was like one of the best. My first car was a 96. Dude, that was one of the best cars I've ever had. The first one I had. Your thoughts on drifting with solid axle? I will come back to this, Steve. So yeah, I didn't like the fact that I financed it. It bothered me having a truck payment. The push, the reason was warranty, not having to worry about it breaking down. So the idea was all right, we get the warranty. If it breaks, they're going to give us a loaner. They're going to fix it. It's going to be great. And that wasn't the case. So at that point for me, it wasn't worth having that truck payment anymore if I didn't get those things out of it that are what made me willing to do the truck payment. What was that? I forget what I was going to say. So yeah, anyway, I just decided. The other thing was to trust it again, to know it wasn't going to break in the future. We'd have to do the high pressure fuel pump swap setup or disaster prevention kit or both. And if we do those things, we'd void the warranty. So now I've got a truck that's financed with 40,000 miles on it with no warranty. So it just wasn't worth it. I do think the Fords are the best trucks. You get a good, the most powerful engine by far. You get the good transmission. The Dodge, you get the good engine, the bad transmission. But what it boils down to is the Dodge is easier to work on than the Ford. The Ford is a V8 turbo diesel. It's a lot more complicated. So anyway, the Dodge was literally half the cost of the Ford, half. So I just bought it outright, no more truck payment, still in a newer truck, nice stuff. It does have over 100,000 miles on it, so that's a thing, but I knew we were gonna upgrade it and change things anyway, so it didn't matter. But yeah, I just don't like financing stuff. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I mean, I didn't get a credit card until, I was way into doing YouTube, and, I knew that I could pay back whatever I used. The credit card was purely to build credit to buy a house, which ended up happening 3 years later. It's starting to rain.
Yeah, it's nonstop.
It has been raining all day, not all day. It started around 3, and it was insane. Was it not sketchy?
Yeah, I don't like it when it storms.
It was storming hardcore, especially in here, because it'll sound like it's raining pretty hard when you're in here, and it's barely raining. 100,000 on a Cummins is nothing. 100,000 on the transmission is sketchy. I know. So we're either going to do a transmission swap. I think we're torn on what to do. Transmission upgrade, built transmission, transmission swap, one of those things is something we're going to do. So we're going to work out the transmission. Would having a bumper pull trailer have made it less stressful if the truck leaves you stranded? Yeah, that is a thing. You know, that is the downside of a gooseneck. You know, if we had a bumper pull, we could pull it with a U-Haul box truck or an Enterprise truck, whatever. The difficulty is the gooseneck. You have to have a gooseneck hitch. But the gooseneck is so good. It's so good. It rides so good. It drives so good. There's no tugging. There's no swaying. I mean, we've driven through wind, everything, nothing. The trailer does not mess with the truck at all.
It's a good rig.
It's a good rig. And for us, for drifting, the gooseneck has such a big advantage of having the gooseneck portion over top because that's where we put all our tires. You imagine if we had to put all those tires on the floor or on tire racks on the wall. I don't think we could put those on a rack on the wall.
No, it's much nicer up there.
Yeah, because they're so heavy. They're so big and heavy now. The Miata we could have got by. So, point is, gooseneck is life. Not willing to give up the gooseneck. Now, I'm really hoping that I've got the hitch stuff ordered, the offset hitch stuff. I'm hoping we can get close to 90 degrees. I might have, there may be a little buyer's remorse on the mega cab side of things. Not the truck itself, not the Dodge, but the mega cab side of things. But I mean, that's just because I don't have the hitch stuff yet. So it's just, I wanted Josue to be comfortable. You know, he's got to sit in the back. And someone was saying, why does he have to sit in the back? Raldo is Josue's brother. Older brother. So Raldo's kind of like
gets seniority over it.
Exactly. And Raldo has a bad back and stuff. It's just the way it is. Like, it's not like I force either one of them to do either. That's
our routine. It works well.
Josue's used to riding in the back. It's no problem. But if we get a better back seat, better for him. So yeah, that's that. Truck cost, finance. I've got some notes here. Someone mentioned, like, why don't you get a toter? Like, you should get a toter. And the thing with toters is, like, while you get a used, cheap one, whatever, it's similar cost to buying one of these full-size trucks. There is that. However, the thing is, toters are way more expensive to maintain. So if you watch any drag racing stuff, 187 Customs, Murder Nova's YouTube channel. So he had like a Freightliner? I don't know. They call it like the starter toter. It's like the toter everyone seems to have. But he bought like a Peterbilt one, like really sick truck. I mean, don't get me wrong, truck is super baller. It's stick shift, it's not automatic. It's a Peterbilt, it's whatever. Anyway, he was on a trip somewhere out west and the head gasket blew on it. And they like limped it to the shop and there was this dude that they got recommended and it was some weird sketchy shop in the middle of nowhere, but I don't think it was the dude's main shop. Anyway, they had to do a head gasket on it. Turned out they needed a head too. The head was cracked and it ended up taking like 8 days to repair it. And he stayed there the whole time because his trailer with his race car and his whole thing, our whole problem. Why we didn't leave the trailer. All of that was there, right? So anyway, it ended up costing him $30,000. $30,000, and he had like exhaust leaks and I mean, and obviously that guy probably took advantage, right? But still, like to do an overhaul on the engine on one of those is like $30,000. What was that? Chat is like a spastic child. I know. I try to read him. If you break down a toter, you could at least live in it while you fix it. I mean, that's true. You at least have a place to stay. CMD for the transmissions tunes for the 4th gen. CDM fab. Okay, good to know. Someone asked any more videos on Monte Carlo. We just put it on the road. So yes, I'm gonna let my grandma drive it, and then I'll probably drive it around a little bit as is because it reminds me of my El Camino, my first car. I mean, it's same setup, 305, 700 R4, and then we're gonna start building. We'll have to get into that soon. Steve asked about solid axle for drifting. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, Vaughn made it work. Chelsea's made it work with the Fox body. That car is super quick. For what it is, it's really fast. I mean, he kept up with us like no problem at the Freedom Factory Bank with less power. So I don't know. I don't have any experience with it. I imagine it's probably fine. Obviously, you can't tweak the alignment as much. You can't do like toe gain and all of that stuff. But just for fun drifting, someone said the 305s are gutless. Oh, I know. Believe me. That's why I traded my El Camino for a Porsche 944 non-turbo, which was equally as gutless, but at least it looked cool. And then that was the rabbit hole of me trading. Someone asked what have I missed. Just basically, we sold the Safiro. I didn't mean to clickbait you like that, but we sold the Safiro. That was my title I had for when we were going to do this live stream 3 months ago, 2 months ago, however long ago it was, and we're just now doing it. We still have the Fummins, everything else. We do want to do a giveaway on the Fummins. That would be ideal scenario, I think. We also want to do a giveaway on the turbo truck now that we have the Monte Carlo. But I want to paint it. I want to lower it on some nicer wheels. We do need to get the AC working. We just got to get a different compressor and lines to clear turbo stuff, like factory stuff. Someone asked about the sprinklers again. We got it done. There's a video coming on that. We had to dig a trench all the way around the shop in the blazing sun. I mean, it was like 1,000,000 degrees.
No, it was fun.
Man, I was like, why are we doing this?
We got it done though. Whoa. You'll have to see.
But anyway, so it's rain. Let me know if you stop being able to hear us. So that's that with that stuff. What else did I have on here? On the Fummins topic of things, my thing is like I'm a very pragmatic person, and when a list gets so big on redoing things for a certain vehicle, I'm like, why wouldn't I just sell it as is if it's good as is and just start over? So like the Fummins, I've learned, and now if I were to do it again, I would do it very differently. I would wait to try to find a super low mileage one. I would get a stick truck so I could have the better transmission set up. So people are asking about FD. We're getting there. So yeah, transmission. Anyway, lower mileage, put a 6.7 Commoner Hill in it, do compound turbos, do the exhaust brake off the bat while I'm building the exhaust anyway. Like I've learned a lot that I would do differently if I could do it again. So it's like, someone said 100% on both those giveaways. Need some more Monte Carlo content. Where have you been? What does Chrissy think of the Honda? She loves it. It's great. She does want a truck. Like she really wants an OBS Ford. And after driving, she rode with me in Chris's stick shift Cummins truck. And she thinks the stick shift Cummins truck would be cool, but both of them, she's like, I still need the CRV because good gas mileage. So at the end of the day, it's the perfect car for her because it gets good gas mileage. So FD, it is, oh my God. Who left that on?
Got him. Got him.
Sorry for your eardrums.
Oh man.
Yeah, so FD is looking like more of an appealing thing now. At the time before, when we had clutch kickers, it was like, why would I do FD when I have clutch kickers, which is semi-local, and I've got, there's really good talent there. It's really fun. It's grassroots. It's laid back. But the problem, did you buy what? No, I did not buy Garrett's RTR. I don't know who bought it. I wish I would have known it was for sale because that's a cool car. Not that I need it or could buy it, but
Just a tanker.
Yeah, I think it looks rowdy. Scooch in a little closer. You're on the. I feel like it's.
I'm on the outskirts.
I feel like it's like the focus isn't working for you. Oh, now this feels a little too close. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. So with clutch kickers and like Riverside and stuff, it was worth like just doing those. Nothing against FD. It's just it was cheaper to do those. Good payout, all this stuff. But now it's like. The cash comps, is this the same person that asked me a question I'm answering? Didn't you say in a video you never leave your compressor on when not in use?
I was using it.
Slee was using it like 10 minutes ago. We were blowing out the radiator in the vet. We're working on the vet. I wonder if I can flip this around and show you. Boom, getting it ready for Riverside. So, yeah, at the time, wasn't really worth doing FD. Now it's seeming more worth it because the other kind of comps, they come and go and the seasons get canceled and then the events get postponed. And it's just like this constant, you plan your whole year around some of these events and then they just get canceled or they just get postponed. And you're like, it's not ideal. And it sucks that like we can't even plan a season, pitch it to sponsors and stuff because we don't know if these events are going to happen. So we're gonna look into, that's where we're at. Don't get too excited. I probably shouldn't have put FD in the title. We're gonna look into trying to do some form of FD. That's the plan, right? So we're gonna look into it. It's looking more feasible, or more logical. Like it would make more sense than we thought it would before. Because like we're already traveling out of state. I mean, the next event we're going to is where FD is right now. Like we'd already have to go there, you know, if it was for Prospect. So yeah, anyway, that's FD. Random topic. We were just talking about this earlier. The vet. I was thinking back to when we built it, and there was we had all these critics. When are you gonna get it done? Stop milking the build. Come on, milking it, blah, blah, blah. And the cool thing is, I take pride in what I think Josue takes pride in, is that we took our time. And like literally, he's the one who said it. He was like, dude, did you realize that we haven't taken the hood off the last 2 events? And I'm like, damn, no, I didn't even think about that. We literally haven't even had to take the hood off at the track. Like, it's crazy. So anyway, I'm kind of in between, right? Like, I don't want to tell you, take your time and just like stretch a build out for 5 years and never get it done. Like, definitely get it done and start using it before you go down the rabbit hole, because you don't know really what you need and what you don't need. A real quick side subject, this guy asked about the power steering in the vet. I know you tried a couple sets. So the Mini Cooper pump in the vet is the best electric power steering pump I've ever used. Like, works phenomenally well, feels great, consistent feel. I recommend it to everybody. I probably shouldn't, because then the pumps are going to get expensive, but I just bought my spare, so hopefully not. So yeah, E-Town next weekend, Riverside, 50K. Should be a good one. Stacked list. It's going to be our first big competition of the year, really, because we did the Pro-Am, which was fun, but it was Pro-Am, you know, and the judging was not the best, and all that. A lot of people are asking why I didn't do the LZ Invitational. So I got the call for that pretty late, like 3 or 4 weeks out. They had a family trip, because they're brothers. We're all doing Josue. So I would have had to go by myself or find some people last minute. And then also, the thing with doing any sort of tire limited event in this car is there's a vast amount of people that don't understand that 1,000 horsepower. First off, we did the oval testing the other day, right? The most boost the car saw was 8 pounds of boost, 8.3. So like, even on the oval 315s hooked up, 8 pounds of boost. So we're not even using 1,000 horsepower. But regardless, people think 1,000 horsepower pro car, he's gonna just have, you know, seal clubbing, puppy kicking, whatever they say. Like, this is gonna be a walk in the park. But when you put that car on a 400 Treadwear 265, all of that goes out the window. It doesn't matter. I mean, the advantage I have is gearing and the dog box being able to shift, but like, the power is useless. I maybe only use 400 or 500. So it's just like, it's one of those things where you have to go in as like the overdog, but you really don't have that big of an advantage or any advantage over like a lighter car. You know, a car that weighs 500 pounds less than the vet, but makes 400 horsepower would be faster than the vet if we're limited to a 265, 400 Treadwear. People keep asking, sorry, what did I miss? Sold the Safiro, nothing crazy.
Every so often is from
Ever thought about building a time attack car? Josue, you want to answer this one? Because you're excited about this.
I'm trying to get onto I mean, I don't want to spill the beans.
I mean, yeah, I'm a bean spiller.
Repurpose the Miata, you know, and maybe DCT swap it.
So DCT, that's kind of like, it's like 2 birds, 1 stone. Like, we could make the Miata into a time attack car. If we're going to grid life stuff anyway, I would have to get a 2-car trailer, but regardless. And we could try out DCT in a swap. So like put a DCT transmission in the Miata. That would be pretty cool. That'd be a lot of fun. So, you know, that's an idea of repurposing the Miata. The thing that's tough, and this kind of, I have another topic here. YouTubers view projects. I don't know why I was thinking about this the other day, but you know, when it comes to YouTubers and car projects, I mean, I can specifically say this about car YouTubers. I don't know about everyone else. You know, a lot of times, like there's extremes. There's channels that literally only do what they know will get views. So like, they might not care what they're building. It's just what's going to get views, right? And then there's people who only build what they want to build and don't care what views it gets. And I feel like a lot of us are somewhere in the middle, and I'm somewhere in the middle, right? Like I've so far only built what I want to build, like something that I'm passionate about, I'm excited about, and I want to build it. But at the same time, if it does terrible on content, your fear is you're just gonna tank your channel, and then like nobody's gonna watch your videos anymore, and you're gonna have to give it all up, you know? So when it doesn't do well, it's like, what? There is no incentive to do that. So if someone asks, why not take the Miata to LZ World Tour? Because we have to run, there's no tire that I can really run. I'd have to run a 205, 50, like 400 tread wear, because there is no 225, 245, anything like that fits the rules. So I couldn't run the 265/18. So, I mean, I guess I could take it on a 205 and it might be competitive against a 265, but I don't know. I don't know if it would. I would like to do that for the Gamboy 235s. What I was getting at is, you know, if you're doing a project and people have no interest in it, it's hard to want to keep going. Some of these random questions.
I got no more.
Like, I don't even have any Bitcoin. What? When is the no prep drag car coming? All right, we're kind of getting to that too. We'll get to that here in a minute. I promise. That it goes hand in hand with the Monte Carlo, because I've never actually told you guys my plans for the Monte Carlo, but they've changed recently. So it's a good thing I didn't tell you, because then you'd be like, you said you were going to do this. But my point is, like, cars like the Safiro, you know, I was really excited to revamp the Safiro, and not that many people wanted to watch it. So it's like, if I've got to split my time some way, why would I split my time on a project that people aren't very interested in? And, you know, if you've ever had a YouTuber that you watch and they just kind of like bail on a project, and you're like, man, why did they bail on this project? Like, I liked it, but maybe nobody else did. That was where this whole thing came from. You know, maybe not a lot of people did, so they stopped building it because they're like, I can't justify building it because it's getting terrible views. Someone said something about milking it, and we literally just had this whole conversation about how we milked it, i.e. built the car correctly so that it didn't break and we didn't have to work on it at the track. The funny thing is, the people that'll be in there in the comments telling you you're milking it, just get it done. Why are you milking it? Why are you milking it? Those are the same people that'll bash you into the ground if it breaks when you take it out. Oh, you gotta learn how to build a car and it breaks. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't want people to get something done super fast and expect it to never break. Like, it's one or the other. Be tough to up that series. Someone said, I watched Hot Rod Scott. I watched every minute of the vet build. Be tough to top that series. I agree. I know that's a tough thing, because like, building that car I had the most fun, you know, and doing these other cars, like doing the 8.6 stuff. I mean, the F80, the Purpose is great. I really like the Purpose, but like building it, you know, it was kind of fun. But it's like, it's not the same. Building a car from scratch, taking a bare carcass and like putting every last piece on it. There's not one piece on that car that we didn't touch and change and modify. What?
Old man's garage.
Is it old man's? Hey, I want to drift.
Drift.
I was just watching your videos this morning. I really like the old man's garage videos. If you guys want to try drifting, hit me up. Come visit Florida. I was just thinking about, since the old man's garage is here, I have a note about this. Something I was thinking about. So I watch No Prep Racing, Street Racing Channel, Old Man's Garage, and which will tie into the Monte Carlo. We'll get there in a minute. So one thing I noticed, I've drawn some parallels. If you watch both, Billy the Kid, his Nova is like the Vet, and his S10 is like the Miata, and there's so many parallels there. Like, here, let me flip this around for you. Miata, Vet, and it's like the Vet is the new and has all the things. The Miata is like, how did it do what it did for so long, and be competitive against all these other cars? It's like literally so similar. But I was thinking about it because I was watching one of their videos, and the Nova, I noticed he would leave soft in the Nova compared to, let's say, the S10, but then he had that power to just like pour it in down track. That's what it seemed like was happening. You know, so like he could play it conservative on the line, not have to worry about blowing the tires off, but then had all that extra power to just plow it in down track. And it's literally the same as the Vet. Like in the Miata, in tandem and competition, going against a fast car, I had to be all in. Like I had to be fully committed. I had to just put it on their door. I couldn't hesitate. I couldn't lift. I couldn't do anything. In the Vet, I generally have enough grip and power to drive up on them. So I can let them get a little gap on transition and then drive up in and get back on their door because I have that grip and power that I never had in the Miata. So anyway, I don't know why. There's so many parallels. So on another topic from that, the Monte Carlo. So the original plan with the Monte Carlo was to build it into a street class, no prep drag car, basically like the Old Man's Garage Malibu, but with an LS fuel injection nitrous. We have it's up there somewhere. We got 3 bottles there. We got 2 more bottles up there. We got a direct port nitrous kit. We got the cool split apart intake with the carb style throttle body. And that was the idea, was basically no prep, but street style. So we could kind of get our feet wet with a car that requires less maintenance, and see how it goes and see how much we actually devote time to it and then go from there. However, and this is funny because it's not a street racing channel thing, I was watching, they went to War in the Woods recently. If you don't know what that is, you should look it up. It is just like the wildest no prep ever on this crazy, insane track. And I was showing Josue or something, and I clicked on one they had went to like a few events prior, like it was like the 5th one, their first one. Anyway, the intro, they did this, they always do these amazing like montage intros, and they did this one to like a Linkin Park song. And dude, just that intro got me so hyped. I was like, let's go buy a chassis right now. Let's build a no prep car. I mean, did we not? When he came over, that's what I said. So, what I've realized is, again, I like building race cars better. So I don't think live about 30 minutes from War. Live 30 minutes from War in the Woods. I thought he said live, like they're about to go live. I was like, what? It's a Thursday. Love the channel. How is the power? I don't know what that means. So the idea, street car, no prep car. But I realize I like building race cars a lot more than street cars. That's just my thing. I do enjoy the tinkery stuff of street cars, like trying to make like all the creature comforts work. But I enjoy the race car building the most. So I want to do that. The other thing is, it's not going to be that fast. You know, it's a big full-size car. I'm not willing to cut it up because it was my grandma's car. I want to keep it original, keep full interior, whatever. So the plans have shifted a little bit. I think we might try to just go ahead and build a no prep race car. The problem with that is I don't know anything about no prep. I know what I've learned through watching. You know, like I've definitely picked up a lot of things. I think I have a gist. But when I built my Miata, I knew a good amount about drifting. But then from the Miata to the Vet, I had learned so much that I was able to implement in the Vet. So many things like this kind of stuff fails. We should make it easier to work on than this thing. And all these things. Whereas with no prep, I don't know any of that. So like if I take the time to build this super cool, nice race car from scratch, it might suck because like I'll learn immediately that he said, seriously, no prep, let's go. I want to do it so bad. I wanted to do it. How long have I been talking about no prep?
Oh, we've been wanting to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I got them into it too, because at first they were like, why does he keep talking about this? And then they started watching, and now they're into.
I mean, he's been following. Like, he's pretty into
Raldo,
it.
Yeah. But like, at first he was like not that into it. He was just like, why does he keep talking about this no prep stuff? And then he got super into it. He's like, I see. But I want to build. I like building race cars. It's a good excuse to build a race car, even if we don't hardly use it. The tough thing is, like, I've learned trying to do 2 motorsports is challenging. You know, like right now, we're working on the Vet. It's what's today, Thursday? We've got to leave, for the event in like a week. And so it's like we're starting on it now. Now imagine if we had an event this weekend in no prep, and then the next weekend a drift competition. Like it would be very hard to juggle those 2 things. So I know that that's the case, but I just want to let off the button in a freaking no prep car on a no prep street. I want to go do testing. I want Josue to pour the puddle and give me the slap to do the burnout. Back me up with the. I just want to do it so bad. So like I really want to, and I want to build a no prep car. I think it'd be a very fun car to build. It'd be very different. Someone said, "What's time is it in Florida?" It's 7:37. But yeah, so that leaves what to do with the Monte Carlo. We can't leave it stock because I know if it's stock, like I'll never drive it. because it'll just be boring. No prep the phones. Yeah, it's a great idea. So we kind of, Josue had an idea. I don't know that we're going to do that now because I don't know. There's so many options. So my other thought was, right, we put an LS3 in it, and just like a rods, pistons, not even LS3, 6.2, like the Miata, L92, rods, pistons, cam, the basic stuff. The nitrous, but do stick shift. Put a T56 Magnum in it so we can do, we can stick shift, drag race it a little bit. Cruise around, do some stick shift drag racing. So it serves a different purpose than if we were to build an actual no prep car. But I don't know. I don't know. Well, Josue, tell him your idea.
Well, I mean, the Miata's engine is hurt.
It's not that hurt.
I mean, it needs at some point. So it's like pull it out, refresh it, repurpose it again into the Monte Carlo.
And then
what was the other?
You're the one who came up with it, put a 5.3 aluminum in the Miata with the DCT.
Yeah, I mean, keep it at less, of course. Just
I like that
bit
idea.
More basic for the time attack to fit into the classes.
It won't be competitive unless it's in a stick shift class. Yeah, I wouldn't care to be competitive with the Monte Carlo. It would be more for fun, like
a weekend cruiser. Like just keep it nice.
Right.
Resto
mod, stick shift, so it's fun to drive, and I can try out some stick shift drag racing kind of thing. Twin Monte Carlo Miata motor LS3. Yeah, so he was saying basically take the Miata motors because it's got low compression on 2 cylinders, still runs mint. It doesn't care. It's the LS. Still, I mean, they drove it all weekend after we found out the compression was bad, and it's still fine. But take that motor, do rods and pistons in it, put it in the Monte Carlo, put a 5.3 and DCT in the Miata for time attack, just to make it more manageable. There is a Grid Life wheel-to-wheel racing series, but with a V8 in that car at the weight, it's like power to weight base. I don't think I could get. I would have to take half the cylinders off or something to get it. I think even with a 4.8, which only comes iron, it would be very hard to get the power down enough. So that's not really on the table. But having the Miata is nice because if I were to do the Gambler 235 class, I could do that in the Miata. My thing is we have the Vet, right? So I'm trying to only drive the Vet. Not only drive, but drive it as much as possible. Even if there's an event where it makes more sense to take the Miata, I might as well take the Vet so I get seat time in it. People thought me and Ben had some magic sauce in our cars that we just figured out how to make them work. And I mean, there's part of it is that they work because of the decent stuff, but there's nothing crazy. It's just we drove them a lot. We drove them all the time. Those are our only drift cars. So instead of jumping in the car just for competition, we were out there every event, tandeming, running doors. Oh, the Monte Carlo and Drag Week. I know Hills Man's Garage has a lot of opinions on drag and drives. I think they're cool. I do. And the reason I think they're cool is I get that there's no heads-up racing. And that is it would be cooler if there was some heads-up racing. But just the fact that they are able to get, especially the crazier cars, to drive that many miles, and they're willing to drive them that many miles, that is a feat in and of itself, that's a lot of work. So I respect that. I respect them building a car that can go 8, 7, 6 seconds and drive on the street because that is not an easy feat. So I think it's cool for that reason. And I mean, I think it'd be fun to do. Drift Week was a blast, and it's obviously more at my alley because it's Drift Week, but it's not on the same scale as a Drag Week, a Sick Week, all of those things. Someone asked a question about you. I saw it. It said something maybe, Taylor Ray both put Josue to deal with us fans. Taylor Ray Booth? I don't know what he's talking about. You're doing the Riverside 50K, yes. Steve Morris is a big reason it's possible for 6, 7 second cars. Yeah, I mean, it takes the right engine for it to do it. That can handle the power and be street driven. That's just wild to think about. You can take a 3,000 horsepower, 4,000 horsepower combo and street drive it. Dragon drives are 1.5. You skipping pro spec. Yeah. So that was that. Why didn't people? I did have a topic, but it's just kind of a funny story I was thinking about. So people there's people ask why I don't, like, you don't see other people driving my cars a lot. And there's a few reasons for that. Like, one, I mean, like, I had Raldo and Josue drive the Miata at the drift event. But one, I got to wear the new off something first, right? Like, the Miata, the new has been worn off, you know? And if I hand someone the keys, or the theoretical keys, doesn't have a key, it kind of does. If I hand someone the keys to my car, I am going into it being completely okay with them riding it off. And if I'm not okay with that, I shouldn't let them drive it, because that's not fair to them. If I let someone drive it and they wreck it, and then I'm screaming and chewing their head off, like, that's not fair. You know, like, I have to accept that. So I have to wear the new off first. The other thing is, I have a pretty crazy story. I don't know if I ever told it on YouTube. Pretty good story. So when I was moving to my Orlando house, which if you've been following along for a long time, that's where YouTube started, was in my Orlando house. When I was moving there, I had a 240 and a Miata. Now the 240 I bought for $4,200, had a built SR, AM standalone, like a bunch of good stuff. It was like missing the turbo when I got it, or it wasn't on because the dude was trying to put a big turbo on it. I got it, I put it together the rest of the way. Started trying to tune it, having no idea how to tune. Started trying to tune the standalone. It was just like breaking up real bad. And one day I was driving around the block and I heard a grinding noise. And I stopped, pulled in the driveway, started back up. I'm like, sounds like it's coming from the valve cover. Take the valve cover off. The upper timing chain guide, a bolt, it was loose, and it was grinding on the timing chain. Now, a lot of people take those off because they make a knocking noise on SRs, and you think it's rod knock, and it's not. It's the timing chain guide. Isn't that a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The top.
Yeah, the top one, that one. So I was looking at it, and I'm like, wow, this guy didn't put 2 bolts in it. Was that the house was fed? Yes. We only put 1 bolt in it. I didn't think about the fact that maybe there was another bolt in it, and that bolt was missing. There was a search and rescue mission needed. Well, it turns out that bolt fell down in the crankcase, and when I went to start the car back up, it locked up the timing chain and broke all the exhaust valves and all the exhaust rocker arms. And so that was rough. So I was working my construction job, working 60, 70 hours a week, very little time. I took the car apart. It had Wiseco pistons, and one of the pistons got pushed in by the valve. I still have it somewhere around here. So I ordered a replacement piston, and it took me like 2 years, a year and a half to put the car back together. I built it. I put the engine back together on the back porch when I was staying with Grafton on the screened-in porch. That's where I built the engine. You know, we got it back in the car in the driveway. The house had no garage, no carport. We got it running, and then I took it somewhere to get tuned, and like they couldn't figure it out. So I was working on tuning it myself, and the AEM had this extra table for like boost offset, and it was zeroed out, and that's why the car was leaning out. And I had figured that out. I had this thing finally running like pretty good for the first time ever. Then like my turbo blew up, and I bought a 2871 from Kelsey, and I finally had the car running good. And I moved to my Orlando house, which is where I lived with Fed, started a channel. So I drove the 240 down with some stuff in it. Then I went back, I borrowed a coworker's truck to go get the rest of my stuff and drive my little daily Miata that I had at the time. So my coworker had sent me a picture of like the car on fire because I had left it at his house when I got his truck. And jokingly, right? And he's like, oh, you didn't leave me the keys. I wanted to drive it. And I was like, oh, okay, no problem. Like, you can drive it when I get back. So I get back, or I get to his house to drop his truck off. I'm like, you know, he asked to drive it. I'm like, go ahead. So he leaves. Mind you, Fed, if you've been watching for a long time, he was my old roommate. It was here in the beginning of the channel. We're still friends. Anyway, this was my second time meeting Fed. The second time I'd ever hung out with him, and he helped me move. And we're hanging out, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he's cool, you know, whatever. And like 10, 15 minutes goes by, and he's not back. And we're like, it's been a while. Like, he should be back by now. And then his girlfriend just like comes flying out of the house and just gets in her car and leaves. And I think she said like, oh, he crashed your car. And I was like, what? Like, no, he's joking. He was a prankster too. So like, I just totally thought this was a joke. So I called him and he answered. And he's like, I wrecked your car. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, can we get it back? He's like, no. Like, it's an I owe you a new car type of thing. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, he's messing with me. So he hands the phone. And he's like, talk to this guy. And the guy's like, I'm with the fire department or whatever. Your buddy's leg's broken. And he had a friend with him, so I thought it was his friend. And anyway, his girlfriend comes back. She's like, I don't want to take you to the car. I'm like, okay, it's got to be bad. And it was bad. I mean, it was bad. It was like into a tree in someone's front yard. The A-pillar was like this. Like the A-pillar that should be like this was like this. Like, it was really bad. And being fed, we didn't know what was going to happen with the car. So we started like grabbing parts off it, like, because I didn't know where it was going to go. And yeah, no, dude, it was rough. We're in the front yard. The power's out because I think he hit the power line too on the way into the tree. And the tree was like 10 feet from these people's house too, on top of that. And so we're like taking parts off it. They're all looking at us like we're crazy. And then, anyway, I learned the hard way through that experience that if it's your car, it's your insurance. So all of that damage, all medical bills, all of that went on my personal insurance. So it was like as if I had wrecked my car because it was my car. And yeah, no, it was rough, dude. And there's like more to the story. We won't get into that, but not really. I mean, I guess there's not much more to the story, but it was just went on my insurance and it sucked. Like it was terrible. And then my insurance went up, and ever since then I've been weary about letting people drive my vehicles on the street, because even if it's not their fault, even if someone pulls out in front of them and they get into an accident, like my insurance is gonna drop me because I'm letting someone drive my car that's not supposed to be driving my car, and now they got to pay out a claim because it's my car, you know? Before that, I always thought it would be like, you have your insurance, I have mine, you're driving the car, it's your insurance, but it all goes on you. You are 100% liable. So that was one of those experiences that kind of changed me for like letting someone drive a car on the track. It's like, whatever, you know? If it's a car that I can afford to write off, like the Miata, it's like if someone wrecks it, totals it, it is what it is. The vet, still wearing the new off, and the vet has a purpose. Like that's why the Miata, I hardly let anyone drive it back in the day, because it was my comp car. Like it had to be ready to go to comp. If it gets totaled, that means I'm missing competition. So there was too much risk right there. But now it's like it could sit in here totaled and it would be fine. So there's that. Anyway, I have to wear the new off stuff. And then letting people drive my stuff on the street is scary. And it's not because I don't trust them. Like Raldo, this way I trust them. I let them drive stuff. But it scares me for that reason alone. I'm not worried about the vehicle getting wrecked or torn up or whatever. It's just, if they get in an accident, then I am 100% liable for whatever happens. So that was a lesson learned.
Is a lesson. Jeez.
That was rough, dude.
Can't make that up.
It was a rough couple months after that happened. So, for the drag build, consult with some drag builders. Yeah, so what I'm saying with that is not necessarily that I feel like I could figure out like the rough idea of what I need to do. It's just like when we built the vet, we knew how a drift car operated and what conditions it was going to be in, and like if it got wrecked, how it's going to get wrecked. And like we knew all of those things and what we need to work on the most. What are things that we have to take on and off? And we could factor that in and build it in a way that it's serviceable and easy to work on and things don't get cooked and there's all these things. So I feel like a no prep car would be the same way. If you had the experience of driving a no prep car and you know like, oh man, we've had to change the turbo at the track and it sucked on this car, so let's make it better on this car. I don't know, I guess maybe it is all kind of general.
It's just that, but it'd be nice to try to apply it and see where we stand.
Like have the experience of using one before building a crazy one. Ideally, I'd buy like a chassis that already has like a nice cage or whatever, and then do everything else, do all the fab work for the radiator, the turbo system, all of that stuff. Before use transmission alone is more expensive than a cheap build. A collab with Cletus would be fun. It's so funny if people haven't been around long enough to. We and Cletus have done a lot of stuff together. Dodge Drifting, I originally put Donnie together in my shop when I lived at Ben's house. I tried to get him into drifting for like a year. He hit me up randomly. He did a lot, you know. He hit me up out of nowhere to be like, hey, we should do a video together. Like, he's such a good guy. But he had hit me up wanting to drift or something, and then I brought my Z down, and we tried to tandem with his with Neighbor, but then my Z, the control arms broke, both of them, while he was mid-drift. We went into the wall. I don't know if I told you that story. It was not at all his fault. They just broke. And anyway, after that, I'm like, dude, you gotta get a drift car. Like, you have interest in this? Get a drift car. And finally, I don't remember what it was that set him off. That like made him. But then he was like, all right, what should I get? I'm like, get a Corvette, And then I helped him figure out what to get, put it together. So yeah, anyway, me and Cletus have hung out a lot. I do want to ride on his plane with him. I do really want one of those planes.
He does have a fascination with planes.
He does, and he's living the American dream. It's like, I feel like if I was in his position, I would be too narrow-minded to think to step out of cars and do these other things like planes and flying and stuff. My dad was a pilot. My dad was a flight instructor. He flew private jets. He flew for airlines. So he was always into planes, and he was into cars. And like my granddad restored cars. So like I was into cars from a young age. And when I got my first car and started doing that, my dad was more into planes at that point. I never understood it. I'm like, you like cars. You told me about cars. Like, how can you care more about planes than cars? But now as I get older, I understand, like, man, I could see how this would be the next step from cars, right? Like planes.
Definitely next level.
We talked about it a bit because you can build those kind of planes like the plane he has. You can get like a kit. Look at the people do turbo motors, like the Wild West Steve guy, the short takeoff and landing stuff. I've been looking at that stuff before he got that plane, but then watching his videos, I'm like, I want to do it so bad. I want to get a plane. But yeah, planes are definitely more expensive, and you need a lot of space. Like, we need a hangar at the place to store a plane, but it would be so cool.
It would be pretty awesome.
Imagine just like landing in a riverbank and then hanging out and then just like taking off out of the riverbank. Flying vet, Mustangs, no prep, #1 ride. Yeah, that's the thing is like, I'm a logic person. So like part of me would want to build like a Fox body, but it's just so boring because there are so many. It's like people say there's too many 240s in drifting. There are way too many Fox bodies in no prep drag racing. It is like probably 60% Fox bodies. But it's like also, I see people do this with drifting. They want to get into drifting and they get some like oddball car and they try to like learn drifting, learn how to build a drift car, learn how to set up a drift car, and all of that on some oddball car that like even someone who had the experience would be fighting an uphill battle. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to get some odd car. Just got here, 20-second recap. Zafiro sold. FD is looking more possible, and we're going to look into it. Not more possible, more, and not entertaining. What's the word? Why am I struggling for words? Enticing? More enticing. FD is looking more enticing because Clutch Kickers got canceled, and then, the other events we plan to do are kind of hit or miss and all that stuff. So we're going to look into it further. I've always said that I didn't have interest in doing it, but we have interest now. So we're going to try to see what we can do there. But yeah, so that's that. What was the other thing? Fummins isn't sold yet. I don't remember what else we talked about. But yeah, so I want to do something kind of different. I mean, probably my favorite no prep car. A lot of people ask about LS Fest East. When is it? It's September, right? Should be able to go to that. I mean, I'd like to go to that. I missed a super chat. I mean, it's hard to answer them all. You get on a tangent and someone says something, and then if you got to stop in the middle of what you're saying, it won't let me click them. No, I didn't miss one, I don't think. 540 cubic inch in the Monte Carlo. What was I saying? See, I went off on a tangent. I lost my train of thought. No prep. Oh, Charlie Brown. That's definitely my favorite no prep build. That thing from 10 Soldier Race Cars, that thing is the sickest thing ever. I love that car. I love like the paint combo, the four-door. I think a four-door Malibu would be a good fit for us to build a no prep car because I'm a big four-door guy and it would be different, but still technically a G body. So it's like there's aftermarket there to figure it out and know what to do. You're not like starting from scratch. Frank says, will you be doing events with Cletus and crew at the Freedom 500? Yes, I'm going to one in Oh, it might be in September. I imagine it would not be around the same time as LS Fest. Should be, I think it's Indy? No. Bristol. Bristol. We should be going to Bristol to drive. But I would like to build a burnout car before then. Like, we're going to go.
Another project.
I got so many projects.
But we're gonna get them all. We're gonna
Gotta catch them all. Someone said KE70 no prep car. I did think about, like, okay, because my roots are import stuff, like doing a lightweight rear wheel drive, like K series, like a Starlet type build. Because I do think that would work well for like back of the track no prep stuff, which is what I'm most interested in, because I feel like it's the least about money when you go to the back of the track. Bad surface stuff. It's not just like who has the most money and the most power. I mean, the reason I like no prep, for those who don't know, is I've never been that interested in drag racing, because for me it was always a money game, right? Like if dude has 3,000 horsepower and you got 2,000, like he's most likely going to beat you. With no prep, it's a lot more about the driver and the tuner, you know, and the setup, the car setup. But it's very, very, I would say rarely does a race get won on power alone. You know, you've got to be able to read the track, figure out how much power to put in it and where. Like, you know, they get so nitpicky that they're taking out 10 degrees of timing over a weird bump so it doesn't lose the tire. And like, there's so much that goes into it. And it's like, you could have the best car ever. You could give me the best car ever, and I could go out there and lose no problem because I would have to figure out how to tune it, you know? So that's what I like about no prep. There's a lot of, you know, driver skill involved, and there's a lot of tuner skill involved. You know, setting up the car correctly, tuning it correctly, very, very challenging. What? Some of these comments, I try to read them. I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. What is this person talking about? What happened to Clutch Kickers? It got canceled, unfortunately. It is gone. Clutch Kickers is gone. Very disappointing, very sad. We built the whole car for Clutch Kickers.
It was a good time.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad you at least got to experience the OG Clutch Kickers track days.
Those were good.
That would have sucked if you only got to experience the last season. Someone keeps asking if I'll share my alignment specs on the vet. I honestly don't even know what they are. I couldn't tell you. Like, the only thing I check with tools is toe. That's it. That is the only thing I check with tools. The caster, I'm gonna guess 6 or 7 degrees. Camber in the front, probably around 5. Toe, I generally go a tiny bit out because my measuring setup's inaccurate. Like, it's not 100% accurate. I'd rather be a little toed out than a little toed in. The rear, no toe to some toe in. And then camber, we just adjust depending on track. Because it's like one track you could drive and you might need -2, +2, you know, or what, it just depends on the track layout. So I generally just kind of align it to the situation, but I just eyeball it. If it feels good, it feels good. I'm the opposite of like a setup super important on a drift car. Thanks, Suki. I feel like they've commented a lot saying, he's answering people that we sold the Safiro. Like I said, I kind of clickbaited you guys with that. I didn't do it intentionally. That's just the title I had already set up, and I didn't want to change it. I'm sorry. For the 4th gen long bed mod fund. Wait, oh, it did pop up again. Oh, I see. That's what's happening. Oh, it says it's potentially inappropriate. Oh, because I've seen those pop up. That makes a lot more sense now. Why won't you let me click it? Could we use Suncoast? Yeah, so Suncoast, there's definitely a bunch of transmission options for the Dodge stuff. I just got to figure out what I want to do, how deep I want to go. Go fix your go-kart. I do need to fix the go-kart.
So many projects, so many things.
I've been telling him and Raldo I'd take him go-karting for so long. I'm like, I just got to fix my go-kart, and then you guys can ride it and try out a 206 car. And I'm like, I just haven't fixed my go-kart. I mean, we just built BMX bikes so we could go ride BMX. How many times have we rode BMX? 0 times. Not once. Not once. It's not quite our fault, though. It has been raining every single day. Check the 8 horsepower. Oh, 8 HP. It's smaller than DCT. Controllers are easier too. Don't come and go. Made Oh, Fade channeling made me build a GIF car G35. That's sick. Thank you. Update on the Fummins. Where's the shop foreman, Sandy? Who here remembers Sandy? Comment below. She's still around. She's just inside. She's just, she doesn't want to be on the ground floor anymore. She said she's above that.
I saw her the other day.
You did see her.
We had a conversation.
Had a conversation on the rules she's laying down in the shop. No, Sandy's good. The dogs are all good. Everyone's good, fortunately. Turbo truck for the burnout contest. So the problem with the turbo truck for the burnout contest is it's a little raggedy right now, but it's a nice truck overall. It doesn't have rust. It's not wrecked. It's clean. It's got full interior. I really want to make that a nice street truck and do a giveaway on it. Whatever I build to do burnouts, I have to be 100% willing to ride it off into a wall and to blow the engine up. And nothing I have, I'm willing to do both of those two things. Would you be down to come to SoCal to drift with us 8.6 owners on 868? That would be a long way to take my 8.6 out, but that would be very cool. It would be very cool to mod that thing around SoCal. Someone said put on your promoter hat and make your own clutch kickers. I see. I've learned my lesson watching people do events, and being an event promoter is a thankless job. Someone says FD New Jersey's back on, you should do a watch party. What does that mean? We should put it on? I don't know what they mean by that.
Maybe.
Logistics nightmare. Taking the car out. But being an event organizer is a thankless job. Best case scenario, people aren't mad at you, but you're always going to have people mad at you. I judged an OSW, King of OSW comp, and this kid's dad screamed at me, telling me that it was rigged and that we were paid off. And I'm like, dude, it is a King of OSW comp. I don't even compete in this because I want, the local guys to have fun. And it's better if someone different wins it every time. But this is as BS of a BS comp as it gets. This is just for fun. We're just hanging out, judging. I have no dog in this fight. I have no reason to make your son lose. It baffled me. And I was like, can you imagine being a judge at a real, clutch kickers or whatever, and just dealing with the people yelling at you and being angry and feeling like they didn't lose. I've always given the judges the benefit of the doubt, and I've never been mad at the judges. The only time I have completely wholeheartedly disagreed with the judges was the last comp we did. Wholeheartedly disagreed. Other than that, it's just part of it. And people that think judges are paid off, even in FD, dude, there is not enough money in FD for the judges to be paid off. It is just not that big of a sport yet.
It's reaching.
Yeah, this is just not a thing, do the judges make the wrong call sometimes? Sure. Are they inconsistent sometimes? Sure. But it's be 100% consistent in anything in your life. Decide to eat the same thing every day. It's just that there's always going to be some inconsistency, and it's frustrating. I've been on the side of it. Clutch kickers round 2, we were battling Alec Honadale, and I love Alec, and he's a phenomenal driver. So we battled. He dirt dropped in front of me pretty hard, almost 2 tires off, 3-wheeling like crazy, and I still stayed with him. I kept it pretty close. We finished the run out. We switched. I had a pretty flawless lead, was on all the zones, didn't drop any tires, didn't do anything like that. He had a slightly better chase, but I had a better lead and didn't drop tires. So I thought that I was going to have the win because earlier in the day, I had watched a battle, and basically, I don't want to put people's names, but 2 people were battling. The lead driver dropped a tire, not as bad. The chase driver got lost. The lead driver dropped the tire and then a little later gapped the chase driver. They switched positions. The driver who dropped the tire when he was leading had a great killer chase, but the driver who got gapped in the chase had a decent lead. He didn't drop a tire. Anyway, they ruled it in favor of the guy who didn't drop the tire. So I was like, okay, that's how they're going to judge this. If you drop a tire in the lead, it's a huge deduction. Even if the chase driver loses a ton of proximity afterwards, and you are on their door, they're still going to deem you at fault because they're putting a lot of weight on the lead. But then the opposite happened in my battle, and I was a little frustrated, but it was fine. Like, it was what it was. We got it one more time. We went one more time. Then we had this crazy rain battle where there was all sorts of stuff, and then that was a one more time, and then the event got rained out, and we didn't even get to finish it. But that's the only other time I can recall that I've ever disagreed with the judges. And I asked them later, like, hey, like, why, which I've never done. You know, there's people that'll go up there and berate them after every call. I went after and I was like, I just want to know why you made this call. Here's what I see from my point of view. And a couple of them are like, I kind of see what you're saying. But point is, the judges have a hard job. And I've been on the bad side of a call, and it is what it is. Like, the thing that you'll see a lot of people don't realize this in competition drifting is you're going to be on the bad side, you're going to be on the good side. The judges aren't really biased. And I know a lot of people think that, but they're not biased. They know everyone, they're friends with everyone. It is what it is. But there's just times where whatever the judges decide, maybe it doesn't seem right and you're on the wrong side of it. But there's going to be times where you're on the good side of it. I've been on the good side of it, but you have to be aware enough to realize, like, dang, I got lucky there. I don't think that should have gone that way. I could definitely have seen it going the other way. I got lucky that I was on the right side of this. So there's that. Should we put on FD? I mean, we're at an hour, so we should probably start wrapping it up. Have you seen any good questions pop up on the chat? You've been looking. It shows you're still not. Wow, that's delayed. You just turned on the screen. When can I catch you? FD is starting. Please drive with Rudnick. Oh my gosh, there was Billy from Street Racing Channel. His dad commented on your announcement of the live stream. Said he wanted to go drifting. I think he commented in here too. We saw it in here, right? Mm-hmm. I was thinking about, like, I'm gonna message them and be like, yo, if you guys ever want to try drifting, if you're ever down in Florida, you want to try drifting,
I don't know for sure.
let them try out the Miata. It's already got the body damage. As long as they don't try to drift near the walls, it should be all right. Be a rowdy car to learn how to drift in.
Definitely fun.
But I mean, I think they got it. Like, I mean, you see the way they drive those no prep cars. Like, I think they would pick it up quick.
Yeah.
So open invite if you guys want to try drifting.
Come on down.
But you got to let me know too if there's a no prep in the area. We want to go to a no prep.
Yeah. Show us rounds.
Right? I want to see it in person, like, it looks so cool in the video, like such a cool vibe. But I can imagine seeing it in person is probably so cool. Especially like War in the Woods. Like, we got to go. What if they looks at your wheel speed and everything to judge? I don't know what you mean by that. Would you sacrifice the green pickup for Cletus and cars? No, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't do that.
That's the original.
Yeah, big on talking rule compliance consulting. I see, Aaron. I see what you're saying. A drag guy will know how to fit in different classes. Yeah, I definitely need to try to find someone that's in it. I mean, I know a few people. I've talked with Turbo John. He started drifting for a little bit there, and I'm sure I can find someone to talk to that can point me in the right direction on, like, okay, like, you don't want this chassis because they've already cut the firewall, and like, that's the only thing with no prep that seems like a struggle is the rules change a lot.
Yeah, for the different brackets and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, this series you can have anything. This one you got to have a stock firewall. This one you got to have X, Y, and Z.
Metal fenders.
When are you taking the vet to the LZ compound? That is a good question. We should do that. I do want to go. I want to take the F80 in tandem with Duarte's F80 at the LZ compound. After you announced that Josue would be stepping away, it seems like he's been there more than usual. You can ask him that question. He's been stepping away like 5 times. It's been 2 times.
Can't make up my mind. Have a good time. It's a good time.
We have fun, but they've also got their own business to run, so it's a struggle.
Yeah, I'm just constantly juggling.
It is a juggling act.
But we here.
We're here. He's here right now. Yeah, I know. It is funny, though, because we did say that you were gone. Or like you were quitting, and then still here.
I never said I was quitting.
I don't know. You told me you were quitting.
He was being dramatic.
I was being dramatic? Yeah. That's possible. I probably took it as quitting. No prep is pretty easy. I would think stock suspension and cage or I don't know what that said. Taylor, it's cool meeting you out in California. Do more events out west. Plug the business. Oh, it's Rice and Beans Parts. Is that what it's still named?
Yeah, Rice and Beans Parts.
For some reason I thought you guys changed it. Rice and Beans Parts. They part out mostly Nissans, right?
Yeah. 240s, 300 ZXs.
You guys got a lot of. They've been
Yeah.
really big into 300ZX stuff lately.
Yeah.
Someone asked about a
Somehow.
PO box. I've been meaning to do that.
Yeah.
Someone asked if Sandy was on a diet. Yeah, we put her on diet food. I don't know if it's because she doesn't run around outside anymore.
Don't judge her.
I seen like old pictures. I'm like, she is so skinny. But the thing is, like at Ben's house, I let her out. Like she could go roam around. But here we have too many like wild animals. Like we've had coyotes on the camera I saw the other night. Like 2 coyotes walking around in the front yard. Big coyotes, bears, possums, armadillos, owls. Like Chrissy said, "Wow, poor Sandy." She's just trying to live her life. It's funny. But yeah, no, it's like, I feel bad, but like, she would die if she went outside. Some animal would abduct her. So it's just scary. What area of Florida are you in? Central Florida. What are the dimensions of the shop planning on my build now? If you didn't have limitations on the pad, what would you have built? That's actually a very good question. I think 30 by 60 would be good. This is, or no. Yeah, maybe 30 by 60, 30 by 70, depending on the shape on where you can go. So for me, I think the ideal scenario would be instead of, bears in Florida. Yeah, there's a ton of bears here. They're just getting displaced because they're building all these neighborhoods. Instead of the doors there, I put the doors on the side. And then you end up with this whole cubby kind of to put stuff against the wall. You have your lift, your stuff on this wall. Like with this, you end up with a lot of wasted space. I wouldn't do the layout like this if you could help it. If you can enter from the side, I think that's the way. Ben's shop was a 40 by 50. That was pretty good. But I feel like you don't need that much depth. Like you'd be better with width, in my opinion. So like maybe like a 40 by 35, 30 by 60 or something like that. I would definitely go bigger. I gotta respect the animals, but you can't be scared of them. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not worried about it, but I don't want Sandy to get taken by a bear. You need to start moving from kibble wet food because they respond to kibble like diabetics at old age. Interesting. Good to know. I need to look into that. Coming from the side with 2 large doors. Yeah, come from the side if you can. That's ideal, I think, in a shop. Again, with this, we have a Miata sitting in the middle. It's just a lot of wasted space. You end up with not a lot of wall space. We are going to build a loft. It is on the list. Is it on the list, Josue?
Yep, working on it. Trying to get materials.
It's on the list. I've got Josue on finding the material. Well, the loft, I've still got to decide material. The overhang, the lean-to. I want to build it out of steel, but we need to find like the same, somewhere that like supplies the material for building these buildings. Like just some like standard galvanized steel to build a frame. Like I can weld, I might as well use steel, the rest of the shop's steel. I don't want to use wood, but wood is a lot simpler because I can just go to Lowe's and get it, you know? So it's like, it's tough. Someone asked how close I was to Dan from FD, Rad Dan with the Supra. I don't know, but I know I think he lives over in Geneva, so like not far. I imagine he was over in Geneva. Rest in peace to that welding rod, yeah. This one was usable still too. I don't know why, it's just tinkering. Fully open loft or partially enclosed? Fully open. So, just fully open with like a guardrail. We want to hang out up there, but maybe we just make a hangout area down here and put all this, I don't know. But building a loft is going to be, I've got, my plan is to build it in 3 sections. If you're an architect or an engineer of some sort and you could just draw me up some plans on how I should build this thing, that would be awesome. So if there's anyone out there, taylordrifts@gmail.com, send me an email. And if you know where I can get the material in Florida for the lean-to on the back, like just some like 3x3 galvanized steel or something like that, just something to build. We basically would need a header panel. We'd bolt that to the wall through these beams, boom, 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 and then weld little nubs at an angle. The other beams would slide on there, screw them in or weld them in, whatever. Boom, to a beam that those land on, post. Then we need hat channel, need to find that. Hat channel, and then we have the old shop roof. We have material from that. I will send you a design, can I get dimensions? 30 by 15?
I think that's it.
30 by 15 or 30 by 20. It'd be cool to know both. 20 would take us to there, 15 would take us to here. Ish. somewhere like that beam versus that beam. I mean, the bigger we can build it, the better, but also you kind of lose some space. Any updates on the house? Not really. I haven't really done anything to the house. Me and Josue did do the irrigation. We got that working just in time for it to rain every day. But we finally got it done. I just need to, grass seed. Apparently, you cannot buy a big bag of grass seed anywhere. Like, I don't understand it. You would think you could go to the store and get like a 40-pound bag of grass seed. Nope. Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace, small hardware stores, none of them have. The biggest bag that we found was 7 pounds, which we need like 120 pounds. And that 7-pound bag was $62. It's like $1,200 in grass seed to seed my yard. Chrissy, did you text the grass guy? I do need to text Alan. Oh man, I'm forgetting the name of his channel now. He's the one who did Cletus' stuff. Cletus is the grass in the Freedom Factory. My Ace has 50-pound bags. Yeah, we went to Ace. They didn't have it. Someone said that they would. Well, you have merch at E-Town. Will we have merch at E-Town?
I do believe so. We are planning. Check it out.
We have they made a little board over there that we took to LS Fest and we never made it there.
Never made it.
Sounds like it's cheaper than sod. What does that say? Cheaper to do sod? No, it can't be cheaper to do sod. I got a big yard. Like a lot of yards. Grass seed is insane right now. Okay, so maybe this is my first time ever trying to buy grass seed. I'm like, why is this so expensive? And why is it so hard to find a big bag? Alan the lawn care nut, I think is what it's called. I don't know why I couldn't think of that in my brain. Yeah, I need to email him or text him back. Sorry, if you're watching this, Alan, thanks for the text. I'll text you back, I promise. Chrissy's been bugging me for days. Welcome to Club Brain Dead. Oh my gosh, it's a throwback. Humor us, man. You don't even know that. Josue, new merch soon. Do we have an update on that? We're working on a team shirt for the vet, with the vet.
Yeah.
If you have any other good ideas. I could use the LS Miata to do the burnout comps. It's already kind of beat up. My thing with the burnout comps is like, I'm going to want to try to win. I don't want to go there and just like get a participation trophy. Like, I want to really go for it, right? And like, if I do it, like, I feel like if you don't blow it up or wreck into the wall, you're not gonna win. So like, I got to be willing to blow up or wreck into the wall, whatever it is that I'm doing the burnout contest in. The turbo truck, I don't want to wreck the turbo truck into a wall. So yeah, all right. I think we should start wrapping this up. Pallets of sod equals more profitable. Maybe. I mean, I don't know how much sod is. I haven't looked into sod. It would be nice to sod the backyard where the dogs destroyed it. We just have a sand lot in the backyard now from the dogs. Not worth it. I don't think it'd be worth it now. I mean, I think now we have the sprinklers working, I just seed it and we should be good, be able to water it. I just haven't tractor supplied. We need Bahia, which I guess there's like Argentinian Bahia and then there's Pensacola Bahia. I'm learning a lot of new things with this project. Dogs will continue to destroy it. I know. But the problem is, when the dogs initially destroyed it, it was already like pretty weak. Like the area that's like sand now there wasn't a lot of grass there to begin with, so it was very easy for them to just like turn it into just sand. So like if we could like get it back nice and good, then maybe it wouldn't. Would you ever Rust-Oleum green paint? Put some compost out, organic matter to hold water. A1 sod in New Smyrna Beach is the go-to. Interesting. Hey, Alan, you're in the wrong chat. I thought you were talking about Alan the lawn care nut. All right, any last questions? I feel like there was more I wanted to talk about on here, but I pretty much covered all my little notes. Miss you, dude. Thomas Wolford, Tom. Someday I'll come back. Miss you too. Miss the old days, man. The original days were a lot of fun when we had Tyson and Marco and John and Ashley, and we'd all hang out and do shoppings. Those were good times. Did you get the hats I sent you? I don't recall any hats. Do you remember getting any hats? Wow, that was a lot. He commented that a lot of times. At least I saw it. Should do a drift review on my Fox body at the private day. It's actually a good idea. I haven't done a drift review in a while. I miss doing those. LS truck ever going to the drag strip? Ideally, once we put some tires that aren't like 30-inch all-terrains on it. Vet prints, yeah, so I do need to talk to the guy who took the cool pictures of my vet at South Carolina about that. I have one. Was there anything else we want to talk about? Like, I talked about the truck, paid outright for the Dodge, sold the Ford Mac. We get to put money in our pocket from the Ford and not have a car payment, which, screw a car payment. I don't want to deal with a car payment. It's not worth it if it's going to break down anyway. Signed posters of the vet. We should get on that. We'll put that in the notes. Any other merch ideas that we should implement? What else? The truck. Dodge was way cheaper. Dodge was not much more than I should be able to sell the Fummins for once it's cleaned up some. Or do a giveaway. Ideally, we'll do the giveaway. If most of you are okay with a pre-order, we'll have a bunch of stock. But, we're probably not, I don't want to overshoot it, right? So we're going to play it conservative. Pup merch, Chrissy said. I want to play it conservative on the merch, but I don't want to stop it if we run out. So, if you're okay with pre-ordering it, don't get mad. If you say yes now, don't get mad if it takes a month, because we'd have to order them and get them made. It's going to be a struggle. So, Fummins giveaway, hopefully.
We're gonna try to figure that out. Giveaways.
Yeah, because if we do the Fummins giveaway, then we can, once we know how to do the whole process and have that squared away, we can do it for the turbo truck, which would also be a good one, because it's going to have AC, it'll be painted, it'll be lowered on cool wheels, be a really good, and a new quieter exhaust, be a really good daily driver for somebody. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Do another video at the OG compound. I don't know. Oh, I do want to go back to the OG compound in the F80. You never been? No?
No.
Damn. We gotta go.
We have to go.
The F80, the only problem with taking the F80 is if you go off at all, you are board sliding your car.
Well, sir, you're a professional.
I just gotta not go off. So we should take the side skirts off before we go. No, it's really fun. You'll have to go. We'll have to go. Hit up Lee. I think he's still update on the sprinkler pipe under the concrete. We have a video coming out. The first super chat message retracted. What? Having a chance to win is one of the bonuses. Thank you. I can't. This is hard. All right, guys. I'm leaving. Chris is gonna get mad at me because we gotta order food. It's getting late. What time is it?
8:30.
I said we were gonna be done by 8:30. We're right on schedule. Okay with the pre-order.
Yeah.
Good to know. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming. You got anything you want to say, Jose? Anything that people have been asking that you want to tell them about? You read the comments sometimes, so you.
I'm good, dude. You know how I am. I'm just quiet. That's me.
Tell them.
I'm quiet. I don't talk much. I'm just a good listener. I don't know.
People think that I'm.
To.
There you go. Sorry.
No, you're good.
People think that I'm keeping him from the spotlight. It's just that he doesn't necessarily love the spotlight. So
I'm working. I'm
He's getting
trying.
better.
I'm just here to wrench on the cars and hang out with my friend. So that's that.
What a perfect way to end it. All right.
Yeah.
Goodbye, guys. Thank you for being here.
Goodbye.
I think it's up here. All right, for real this time. Goodbye.